Horse Girls is has such a unique premise. What was it about the story that immediately made you guys want to be part of the project?
Well, I mean, it came to be normal audition route, but for me, like representation for autism is one so rare, and two they love to use like autism as like I'm struggling to
Hmm,
find words.
that's
This
okay.
representation was just
Take your
so
time. Hmm.
yeah, this representation was just so good. And reading through it, I felt so connected to it. And like the autism wasn't used as just like a burden or something to overcome or just like this inspiration of how amazing this person is because they live their life with autism. She doesn't have some like superhuman ability that is given to her because of this. And I don't know, it was just a beautiful story. And I felt like anyone could connect to this character. It wasn't like an autism story that like so many people are like, I can't understand and relate to. Like it was, I don't know, it was beautifully written, and this was one that in the audition process I was like, I want this, and I feel honored to be chosen to represent this amazing character. And then meeting the real life Marguerite, and that it was based on someone real and tangible. Oh, so cool. Yeah.
And you were fantastic in it, by the way. Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. I never
Yeah.
know how to respond because like I can't compliment you back because you didn't do anything and I'm just meeting you. But like, how do you just accept a compliment and just move on? That's
You just do.
you just do.
My mum used to tell me all the time, she'd say, you should say thank you, even if I'm not like having the best day or whatever. And she'd always say,
Oh,
just say thank you. And, I guess it's easy to put more positive energy out there if you sort of
yeah,
answer. Yeah, because it's
yeah.
easy to be like,
Working
really?
on that.
Yes, it's all our self-love and working on our best versions of ourselves. So, yeah, congratulations. You were fantastic as the character. And Lauren, how about you?
I mean, honestly, it's so funny because before I wrote the script, I didn't even consider myself a writer, to be perfectly honest. Like, the whole imposter syndrome thing, and it's like, well, I write, but, am I a writer and all this stuff? And I hadn't ever written a feature film before, to be perfectly honest. And then it was like I met Marguerite, and at the same time, I had seen a video of girls hobby horsing in Finland. And it's funny because now, thanks to TikTok, I feel like, and like, videos going more viral in general, now people actually kind of know what it is. But back in like 2018, when I was writing the script, I was like, have you ever seen a video of these girls with these like, plush horse head stick things? It's called a hobby horse. And people would be like, no, I have to look that up. And so I was, one, just fascinated by that. And then two, finally met my best friend Mackenzie, her sister Marguerite, and watching the way she went about, a neurotypical world versus when she was in like a place where, she was obsessed with this show called Once Upon a Time. And we went to a fandom with her, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, she's like, she was like glowing. She was so excited and just came out of her shell. And I had never seen the show, but I was like, I love when someone is so obsessed with something so specific. And so then I was like, okay, what if we make a character, so similar to Marguerite, and then it's like, and her thing is hobby horsing, And to me, I always start with a character first, like a character driven story first. And I mean, Lillian says it so beautifully, but like that was always the goal. It was never like, oh, but despite her autism, she does this thing. It was never the case. It was just like, why don't we just see more stories like this? And so that
I
was the
think it's
goal.
beautiful. Yeah,
Thank
absolutely
you.
beautiful job and so well thought out and so authentic and raw and it just really grabs you in the heart. It's beautiful. I loved it. So, the film explores independence, family, and self-discovery through Marguerite's journey. What do you hope audiences take away after watching the film? I mean, you heard what I said. I can't speak
Mhm.
highly enough about it. So,
Aw. Gosh, that's such a good question. What would they take away? Honestly, I just like for me, I love the idea of everyone has their community, like every, and like finding when you finally find your fit somewhere, you finally find, especially if you've grown up, it's like, I don't know. I feel like everyone has their thing, but sometimes people will say, well, I don't know, I don't do anything or I don't have a hobby or anything like that. But it's just like everyone has a community and they're out there. And I think it's just so important. And that's why I wanted to start with her, being a bit more isolated with her mom until she finds this group of people and like, and that accept her and even having like, you know, letting her mom understand it as well. I guess it's a long-winded way of just saying like everyone has their community. That's what
Yeah.
I would hope people would take away.
And I think there's a place for everybody. I think there's
Right?
room for everybody. Like we're all unique the way we were made.
Hmm.
And I couldn't agree with you more. What about you, Lillian? What's your thoughts on that?
So I have found it so interesting with this specific project that that question is asked so often. And talking to the disability community, and when we make projects, like it's so much about like what do you hope people take away from seeing
Hmm.
this character in this story? And sometimes I feel like, I mean, yes, I think Lauren had specific intentions with creating this story, but art, like, I think there's a joy in it, no matter like the representation inside, and just like being able to step away from your world and just enjoy it for a
Hmm.
moment. And I think that's important to recognize that it doesn't have to change anyone's life. This is a fun story. Please enjoy it, and I hope like you just feel good watching it. While also like I did create and put so much into it that like I hope there's deeper things, but I feel like each identity is going to take something very different out of it, right? An autistic person, I just hope that you feel seen and less alone and that you can connect to a character like this and maybe have something that you can point people to without having to burden yourself with explaining something. You say, go watch this movie. This is my experience of this. And then, yeah, if you don't have autism, if you're part of the community, it makes you feel seen and understood, and you get to know this character a little more, or just, and it gives you like a deeper perspective, and maybe you think twice when meeting someone, or understanding the struggles of this disabled community, and can be someone like Hank or Coach that offers that little bit of support that can make a difference.
I love it. That's so true. I couldn't agree more with that. That's a beautiful way to interpret everything and put out there. And I think you take your own experiences, no matter what it is,
Mhm.
and relate to it and how you want to relate to it. So I think that's amazing. Hobby horsing is something many viewers may not be familiar with, as we were just talking about. What surprised you guys the most while learning about this fascinating community?
Yeah, there is. Oh my gosh. I just want everyone in the world to watch this documentary. It's called Hobby Horse Revolution. I
Okay.
like it pretty much kind of made it a rule that my crew had to watch it. Like I was like, it just, I think the very first initial draw to it for me was one, I love how these girls, they are so outspoken and being like, they treat their hobby horses like real horses, like they put them up, they like cover them in blankets when they go to bed and all these things and they take care of them. But at the same time, in that documentary specifically, they're like, we don't care that people judge us. They're like, and we know they're not like alive, but they're like, but we can do our own thing and like, have this and we all love it. And so if people think we're weird, screw them. They don't get it. And I remember thinking like, I love that. Like these girls just could not care less if the world is like, videos are going viral and people are going, what the heck is this? They were like, great, more people can see what we like to do and how impressive and how athletic they are. Like genuinely how athletic they are. And like, yeah, just to me, it's just breaking down stereotypes and even calling this movie Horse Girls. Like there was that kind of moment happening where people would say everyone knows a horse girl from their life, and like that often meant they were like quote unquote nerdy or weird or something like that. And to me, I'm just like, no, like celebrate them. And that's who I feel like these girls are. And they are just so unbothered by what the rest of the world thinks of them. And that's my absolute favorite part about all of it.
Love it. What about you, Lillian?
For me, what I found fascinating like especially when Lauren told me like how the girls get so attached to their horses and they
Yeah.
name their horses, and when they retire them they have like little funerals like they're real and
Yes.
alive, and at first it sounded so ridiculous, and then as we were doing the movie, the girls on the team, how attached they got to their horses and started naming them, and like all had personalities, and
Yes.
like it really did felt like they all went through mourning when they had to turn them in at the end of the movie. It was like, no, this is like, it's a weird thing that you create this relationship with
Mhm.
this stick, and it becomes like a real horse, and you're like maneuvering and have this beautiful imagination and connection to this thing in this sport, and that is, I think it's beautiful and fascinating, and I'm curious like the dynamic and what causes that in your brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are like real horses to people, and it's so cool to see that evolution in the movie of her and
Mhm.
Cheeseburger and what Cheeseburger like represents in her life, and like
Yes.
I think Lauren did a good job writing it from an outside perspective. Yeah.
For sure. Lillian, Marguerite is a wonderfully layered character. How did you prepare to portray her authentically and respectfully? And Lauren, how did you work with Lillian to bring that authenticity to the big screen or to the screen, whichever level it was?
So starting off, I think Lauren just working with a real person and basing that off of something tangible and having a source to go back to, and having like this understanding and not putting it in just like we're just gonna put in all the difficulties. So, like she put in such beauty and such depth and stuff. So I had so much to already work with just the script. And then yeah, coming from that, previously all of the characters I've played on the spectrum have been much closer to me as a person and was asked to put in my personal autism. And then this is based on someone else, which was nerve-wracking because I really wanted this character to be loved and seen in the right light. So yeah, I did a lot like introducing me to Sandy and Mackenzie and Marguerite. That was a beautiful and incredible resource to have. And yeah, we had lots of talks as we were creating this of like what parts of her were really important to her to be seen, what didn't she want people to know about her. Talking to Lauren about where my comfort was in performing autism because she was on a very different part of the spectrum. I still want to be very respectful because we do talk about how authentic casting is so important. And when there were things that are like, I feel like if I presented it closer to me than her, it would be more respectful and a better
Mm.
performance. And like we worked through what pieces of her and me should be put in, and the fictional version of Margarita that Lauren had in her mind, that we were like, is that good representation? And we chatted, and it was a beautiful teamwork between like me, Lauren, and Marguerite to create all three pieces of all of us into this character. And that I feel honored that Lauren was so open-minded and so able to work with the two of us so well to create something, and she really trusted the two of us to do a lot of that and didn't just like, I created this character, it's mine, right?
Exactly.
So I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And then the willingness to bring in Chloe Estelle, our autism sensitivity coordinator, and Alex Plank, an autistic producer, onto the project to oversee the whole project and make sure the pieces were all done right and have these multiple perspectives of autism to put into the story. So hopefully it's not just like this was Lillian's
Mhm.
story, and my perspective is it's an authentic portrayal, but it's not everyone's version of autism, right?
And what
Yeah.
about you, Lauren?
That's what I loved so much about, I mean, especially coming as obviously someone neurotypical, like you always just approach things with so much sensitivity because you're like, oh, you've just been taught that, in your life and like, oh, can I say this or whatever? And Lillian was just the best in that way where she's just like, she would just sit down and be like, so in my opinion, this part isn't necessarily me. Because like Lillian actually is surprisingly a lot more like reserved. And that's why I think, I mean, one, that's why she's such an incredible actress. I'll never forget the first rehearsal we did where you burst in, you were like, hey, ladies. And I was like, she transformed, like, but
Yeah.
Lillian said something that I found so interesting and I loved was that she goes, honestly, a lot of this is just I feel this way, but a lot of it is like I was taught my whole life or like grew up masking a lot of this. So it just felt like such an honest portrayal at times where she'd be like, yeah, if I wasn't masking as much, like this feels, real. And I loved when you said that because you were like, we were talking about like stimming and things like that. And you were like, half the time I'm just trying not to, and she's like, so now I get to. And to me, that it really helped, like it felt bridge the gap while she was still being an actress and doing her job and portraying someone who wasn't necessarily entirely her, but bringing her own authentic experiences. And I think we pretty much had a conversation before every single scene we filmed about it. So, I mean, I was just so lucky to have her be able to have that, insight and willingness to talk through it with me.
Nice. Well, I have one more final question for you. If you could describe Horse Girls in just 3 words, what would they be and why?
I mean, I feel like belonging is like a huge thing. Like that's
I was gonna say mine's kind of similar to that. Mine was gonna say acceptance.
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. I feel like scene.
Scene.
Scene. Scene. Yeah, that's
That's
more
what I
what
like. Yeah, like it's
Which
just like
really,
just
yeah,
the
which
scene.
captures inspiring, really, because when you're
yeah.
seen, you're getting seen for your authenticness and everything you just mentioned, all is part of that
Mhm.
anyway. So it makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
And I love that. So I really wish you guys all the best with the movie. I hope it wins lots of awards. I will be patiently watching to see what happens with this amazing film. And you both look beautiful, by the way. And Lillian, that
Aw.
is an amazing color. It looks so good on the
I,
screen with your
I was
makeup.
gonna
I'm
say
like,
that
oh my
too. I
God.
was like, love it.
It's just like popping. I was like, whoa, this is like pop art. This is amazing. So cool. Well, thank you so much, guys. I wish you all the best, and I hope you both have a beautiful rest of the day.
You too. Thank you
You
so
too.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.